thorn bush came to them and said, "You will make me the leader and king of this nation. I will rule the forest, or I will burn the place down." And Jotham looked at the people and said, "When good people are too busy doing good things, the thorn bush always rules the forest. It might be a blue thorn bush, it might be a red thorn bush, but trust me, it'll be a thorn bush." He says, "Have you acted in truth and sincerity of heart? Do you not remember what my father did? My father Gideon fought for you. My father Gideon brought you your rights to life, to liberty, to the pursuit of happiness. He risked his life. Do you remember how the Midianites would come and steal our property? Do you remember he'd work all season to have fruit? He'd work all season for the harvest, and then the Midianites would come and they'd take it from you. My father Gideon risked his life for you. And yet all of you are too busy that all of his sons died, and none of you did anything about it. Have you acted in truth and sincerity of heart? I ask you this. My brothers died because of your inaction. You weren't doing bad things. You were too busy doing good things to care about the forest. Stop ignoring the flames," he said. "Get out of the woods. Do you smell the smoke of the bramble," he said, "in our nation? Do you not hear? Do you not see what's happening? Not only my brothers died, but in one generation we're losing freedom." So I read that story back in 2009. I was doing a series on the book of Judges, and I hung my head, and I said to myself, I am the olive tree. All the nonsense in Washington, all the nonsense in politics. I had the view that politics came from two words, poly meaning many and ticks meaning bloodsucking. And I had better things to do but get involved in a bunch of bloodsuckers. But God prompted me to get out of the woods. I could smell the smoke, and I know you can as well. You can smell it all around our nation. You can smell it in state government. You can smell it in local government. You can certainly smell it in federal government. There's smoke all around us. There's flames all around us. And for me in 2009, that's where I decided I need to step up. I need to get out of the woods. I need not be too busy doing good things to not be involved in the fight that was going on around us. For me, it began as a series called Godonomics. We did our series to show that capitalism is not just a good idea, it's God's idea. It's based on these concepts like property rights that God gave through Moses and said, you've never owned anything in Egypt. The Pharaoh owned everything. If you want to be a free people, you need to own property, because property leads to responsibility, responsibility leads to productivity, and productivity leads to generosity. So 20% of the 10 Commandments: do not steal and do not covet other people's property. And every time free enterprise is practiced, every time Christianity moves into a new society, and you have liberty and productivity and generosity, all the time you see generosity go up, you see liberty go up. And people of faith have a view of government. You see, we believe that individuals last forever, and states are temporal. At best they last for a few thousand years if you're a Chinese dynasty. Therefore the role of the state is to protect individual rights, because individuals are not only more important than the state, they're incomparably more important than the state. And therefore the state's goal, the state's role, is to protect rights like life and liberty, the pursuit of happiness, presumed innocence, and due process. These are not rights we get from the state. These are rights we get from our Creator. We don't get them from the majority because they can't vote them out. We don't get them from the government because they can't take them away. This is what it means to understand God's view of freedom and liberty. It comes directly from Him. Governor Bradford tried socialism, communism. He wrote about it. He said a group of zealot Puritans. Now that's a best case scenario. A group of zealot Puritans tried communism, and it didn't work. He wrote, don't try this at home, we're trained professionals. And it didn't work. If a group of zealot Puritans can't make communism work, I promise you, Washington, D.C. is not going to make it work. I mean, really, we tried the best case scenario. And socialism always comes sounding like Jimmy Stewart. You want the moon, Barry? Hey, you want the moon? We'll throw a lasso around it. We'll pull it down here. We'll eat a little socialism utopia. Little moonbeams will come out of our eyeballs. And it always ends like Monty Python. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Socialism has killed 90 to 120 million people, and we still have people of faith asking questions like, do you think God is a socialist? No! Jesus was no more a Marxist than he was a murderer. Free enterprise, capitalism, limited government. These are ideas that come out of a healthy skepticism of the human heart. And yet we need to stop preaching to the choir, but instead learn how to convince the unconvinced. 50% of the people who come to my church do not believe in God, the Bible, or what I believe. 50%. And every week they come back. And they say, tell me more. I'm not there yet, but tell me more. And we need to learn how to not just preach to the choir, but how to convince the unconvinced, to read what they read, to talk what they talk, to help using the Socratic method, help them understand the problems in their own belief system, the problems in their own thinking. They need to understand that just like Gideon did, and just like my grandparents did, economic, spiritual, and political liberty are always the three-legged stool that every nation is founded upon. And if we don't learn to convince the unconvinced, if we don't learn to talk and dialogue and help them see the truth, the bramble is going to rule our nation. One of the reasons I put the series together is because I want to create a tool that you could use to convince people who were unconvinced about the message. So get out of the woods. Hear the challenge of Jotham from Judges 9 saying, get out of the woods. Abram got out of Ur, and freedom was found. Moses got out of the backside of the desert and brought freedom to a nation. Gideon risked his life. Jotham risked his life by giving the speech I gave you today. Jesus, it would have been a lot more comfortable up in heaven, but he left the comfort of the penthouse and he came to the outhouse of earth so that through his work of sacrifice, we could experience the penthouse. He got out of the woods. He took on the ultimate fire. George Washington got out of the woods. Thomas Jefferson got out of the woods. Martin Luther King got out of the woods. Dietrich Bonhoeffer got out of the woods. The question is, will you and I get out of the woods as we hear the call of liberty? Thank you.